If you fought yourself from 5 years ago, not physically, but psychologically, hormonally, or spiritually, what's the outcome of that particular duel? Because if we're being honest, most modern men aren't losing to other men. They're losing to the neural shortcuts that we come to call habits. And there's three particular habits, all beginning with the letter P, that I have come to call the modern lenian hydra. The three P's, at least one of which you would have or are currently under direct attack from. And they are thus: they are promiscuity, they are pornography, and they are prostitution. And I do mean soliciting sex workers. Not that any of you young gentlemen are adorning fishnets, high heels, and standing on street corners. Now, whether it's the combination of all three or even just facing one of them in isolation, the effect on modern man is absolutely diabolical. It's catastrophic. It's detrimental. It's debilitating. It's soul throttling. Testosterone levels, they nosedive. Hormonal equilibrium collapses. The endocrine network falters, and vitality is methodically siphoned away. An elegant biological sabotage unfolding in seemingly slow motion. All three attack the same target. They attack a man's virility, your reproductive system in scientific parlance. So nothing I've said so far is esoteric. This is not mysticism or ideological dogma. The scientific parlance, it's objective empirical data, well within the boundaries of established research. There's very little serious argument that can be made against the fact that these forces directly attack and empty the male reproductive system. They drain what your ancient ancestors would have called your reproductive essence. As bluntly as the title suggests, they empty your balls. Speaking from experience, I went to university. I was promiscuous. I was sadly exposed to pornography at, I think it was maybe 11 or 12 years old. So I'm not above this conversation, not at all. I'm downstream from this conversation. And, that's actually the point. Because here's where men get overly sensitive and they leave this conversation. They might have left this video already. They make this mistake. They think this conversation is about morality first. It's not about morality first. It's about biology first, endocrinology, psychology, and then subsequently your behavior in that order. So just follow me down this train of thinking. Every time you ejaculate, there's a prolactin spike. Now, that's not controversial. That's just physiology. Prolactin is actually protective in the short term, I should say, that caveat, without which there would be no refractory mechanism, no biological signal to stop. We just keep shooting ropes until we turn ourselves inside out and become a costume of a man, which sounds funny, but also isn't. But prolactin has an inverse relationship with testosterone, meaning more prolactin, less testosterone signaling. Testosterone isn't about muscle or just about muscle and libido. It affects your bone density, your androgen receptor sensitivity, your dopaminergic tone, your confidence thresholds, your risk tolerance, basically how solid you feel inside your own body. Flood that system daily or multiple times a day, and you don't just feel tired, you feel docile. I mean, really sit and ruminate with what kind of temperament that cycle starts to produce. If you're repeatedly flooding your endocrine system with prolactin daily or even multiple times a day, you are conditioning a psychological state over time. Hormones don't just regulate physiology. They shape your temperament and how you subsequently engage with the world. And docility, compliance, weakness, submission are not psychological traits that have ever been considered advantageous in this world. They quietly determine the trajectory of your life. You stop initiating, you stop pushing back against the world, you stop tolerating discomfort because your nervous system is already French fried. And then you spend those late nights wondering why You feel like puberty never quite finished. Your face looks flatter. Your presence feels, diluted in social company. But no one wants to talk about the inputs because they're too taboo, or it feels like mummy and daddy are taking away their toys and their sweets and their chocolate. And adult material in this way is uniquely destructive because your nervous system can't tell the difference. It can't tell the difference between a real woman that you see on the streets or, at a library, or a screen that's full of artificial women, full of novelty. Your nervous system only understands the stimulus. So when you consume endless sexual novelty, your brain genuinely believes you are an absurdly successful alpha male having intercourse with a harem of women. Congratulations, you've tricked your biology. The problem is this. Biology always collects that tax later down the line. You get the neurochemical cost, without the real world development. So no courtship, no leadership, no competence gain, just discharge. That's not transcendence. You're tricking yourself, man. You're tricking yourself. And people get offended when I say this, but let's be honest. Most modern hookup culture, moving into the promiscuity aspect of the hydra, it's just mutual masturbation using another person's body. I know that sounds crass, and it's meant to, because it's the truth. You meet somebody under the strobe lights. Think about this. You poison your inhibition with alcohol so you forget your morality for the night, and then you rub genitals together until you vomit all over each other. There's no bonding there. There's no responsibility. There's no reverence. And then we're shocked that, why do I feel so hollow and empty afterwards? I mean, think about this, right? The genetic lineage of your ancestors, the human race, and spunking it into some single mother called Stacy. The act itself is morally corrupt, not because of shame or guilt, by the way, but because of contrast. So think about this. Your creative essence is vastly higher than what you're trading it for. You carry something that is life-giving, something that is generative, something that is ancient. And when that power is squandered on something that's low and dark and diminishing and denigrating, the nervous system, it registers it. There's a visceral disgust reflex felt in the body before the mind can actually rationalize it. It's wrong, not intellectually, but somatically in your body, in your nervous system. And I cannot overstate the difference in happiness and quality of life when you experience, over the course of the average week, your system is more full often than it is depleted. Because you're carrying life, you're carrying creative force. You're a glowing pregnant woman. You're carrying the genetic lineage of humanity itself, your future children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Surely it's got to be worth more than that. The entire lineage traces back to the source. We are sitting on it right now. That's the hard part to articulate without sounding mystical, because it's still real. Reproductive fluid is life-creating material. Of course it is. It contains the genetic lineage of humanity. Your ancestors are living through you in this way, in your fluid. When you treat it as something that is disposable, something in you registers that loss. You don't need to believe in karma for causality to be real. Waste creative energy means diminished vitality. If you contain it, you have a biological adaptation because of the pressure that's building. And that's the difference of quality of life. It's not subtle. I'm not telling you to become a monk. In fact, I don't tell people anything. My clients will attest to that. You'll do whatever you please. I'm simply inviting you to look at the fact that you're hemorrhaging as a man, that there is a three-headed hydra growing increasingly more powerful in the world, and it's after your hairy coconuts. It's after our hairy coconuts. If over an average week your balls are full more than they're empty, your posture is going to change. Your gaze, your tolerance for nonsense drops. And weirdly, life starts cooperating with you, not magically, mechanically, because nothing in this life goes unrecorded. The universe keeps the receipts. And the moment you reevaluate the value you place on your own sexual energy is the moment things begin to rearrange. Even if you don't believe me yet. And if this landed, subscribe. If it annoyed you, good. Sit with that feeling. And I'll see you in the next one. Because these are facts, no theories. Speak soon.